the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday to you, and welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast. We're glad that you joined us wherever it is that you might be tuning us in each and every day. We appreciate it more than you know. Good to see you this morning, Randy. A lot to talk about here on a Thursday. You're out. You're not turkey hunting. Let me go ahead and let everybody know as an 18-wheeler goes by you from behind. You don't really care too much about turkey season, but you are outdoors. Hey, if you got to pick a day to be outside, it's a pretty day today.
Well, it's a beautiful day. For whatever reason, my shop down here in Dayville just flipped the switch. I did pay my power bill. That's what Bo just told me. Bo said they got power behind you, Randy, and everybody back there said it must be that y'all didn't pay your bill. So I do think that happened. We've been here long enough I think they wouldn't flip us if there was a little bit of an issue. But if you do hear a lot of traffic going down Highway 280 here in beautiful Dayville, Alabama, then I apologize to you. There's not much more I can do.
It really is not bad. It's not bad. I mean, really, okay. It's kind of pretty nice, actually. So
okay,
I know it's kind of odd.
I'll sit out here every morning because it's nicer out here than it is inside that shop.
I was going to say, yeah, it's a lot. The environment's a lot nicer. Just can't do it in the rain, right? But yeah, we're going to dive in. We're going to talk some obviously spring football too a little bit today, and as practice has been underway this week, and we've already had some reaction, and we've been able to see some of the guys. You don't get a chance to see a lot, but you do get a chance to see some. So a lot of people were glad to see Deuce Knight and Jackson Arnold out there throwing and kind of making some observations about that. And as spring practice moves along, you're going to get to see more and more and hear more and more about everybody. We talked about receivers yesterday, pretty much the entire show because of, just how deep this group is and what they bring to the table, Randy. And so we'll kind of go position by position. I got another position group I want to talk about today. From a defensive standpoint. I want to go to the defensive side of the football because everybody likes offense. It sells tickets, but defense wins championships. So got to be good on the defensive side of the football. But let's talk about Michigan, man. Tomorrow, Auburn is in action. It's hard to believe Sweet 16 is here. The first round of the Sweet 16 will be today. Alabama will be in action. We'll talk about that a little bit. But Auburn and Michigan, this Michigan team playing really good basketball right now. If you go back and look at their last several games, they've been playing really good. You know, they had that narrow escape of Maryland, which is in the Sweet 16, 81-80, and then they played Wisconsin in the Big Ten tournament championship, 59. They won that game 59-53, and then they've won two tournament games here against UC San Diego. You know, it was a close game against UC San Diego. I'll start there. Jason Caldwell was on the show with us heading into that game. He was like, look, kind of watch that team. They're sneaky good. They could cause some problems for Michigan. He was actually a little leery that Michigan might even not win that game. And they almost didn't. It was close. It was a 3-point game, but Michigan won it. And then an impressive win over Texas A&M in a 5-4 matchup, 91-79. So that's how we arrived here to Atlanta tomorrow night. Going to be a late tip-off, but Auburn and Michigan to try to get to the Elite Eight.
Going to be a big-time game. I think the big storyline there is Trey Donaldson, matching up with Auburn. Feels like the players, like you said yesterday, are real friendly still with Trey Donaldson. There's no ill will. Sometimes transfers can go in both directions and be positive. And I felt like it's worked out for Auburn because, where would the minutes come for Trey on this team? I don't want him getting any of Tahad's minutes, and I don't think he would be getting any of Denver's minutes. So it worked out both directions. I just hope he doesn't outplay our 2-point guards when it comes down to the game tomorrow night. But, they've been able to win a lot of different ways too, Brett. So it should be a good matchup. They've got big men inside that can match ours. When you maybe Ole Miss down the line, that has been the reason that I think Auburn has gotten over the hump. this year so far against Ole Miss is not necessarily that we've killed them from the perimeter, but we've been a lot better than them down in the post, and size-wise, we're much better than them. But you can't say that about this Michigan team.
No,
So
no.
it's a big-time game. That's a program that expects to win in basketball, Brett, the same as we do now. So I'm really looking forward to it. I hate it's as late as it is, don't you?
Man, Lord, yeah, exactly. I mean, a lot of people have been talking about that, and and it's probably going to be later than the anticipated tip time that's listed because nothing ever finishes on time. You and I know that. Calling 800 games in Birmingham with the high school. I mean, it is absolutely going to be at least a 30 to 45-minute delay sometime in the morning, and you never catch up. You only add minutes to the delay as you move on, but there is only one game ahead of them tomorrow, so maybe could catch a break and maybe be a little bit faster pace, maybe not as many fouls. I'm wishful thinking on that, but regardless of when the game does tip off, Auburn's going to have to be ready. And you look at this breakdown numbers wise between these two teams, and I'll just kind of go line by line, Randy, and let you give your take on it. Auburn averaging 83.8 points a game and Michigan averaging 78.3. I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but in basketball, it's a pretty good bit of a discrepancy over time. You're looking at a point per game average over a long period of time now, and when you're looking at 5, almost 6 points in difference there, that's a pretty big deal.
It is, and it's not like you look down at Auburn's matchup. Sometimes in football, you can get to this part of the year, and you really got to take into account, did Auburn play 3 Alabama A&Ms? Did they score 77 points in all 3 of those matchups?
Good point.
Then when you look at the scoring, you go, well, it's really a lot better than it actually is. No, Auburn's played, if not the toughest schedule in the country, the second toughest schedule in the country, and both Auburn and Alabama are highly prepared for this. And if they're averaging 83 points against teams that we get their best. I was talking to a good friend of mine yesterday that's his son's playing at a high school here in the state that's one of the best baseball teams in the state. And he said, Randy, we get their 1 or their 2 best pitcher every time we go out there and play. And that's where Auburn basketball is, Brett. Auburn basketball is at a point that you got to look at us for a good week, 2 weeks leading into the game just to stay in the ball game. So you're going to get the team's best. And we've averaged 83 points. And we've had a little bit of a stretch there where we went into a lull. And luckily for us, I feel like we came out of that lull in the 32 games. So maybe we'll carry that in here. And I think that if we can get this thing to 80 points, I really like our chances, Brett.
No, I totally agree with you. Talking about that, Randy, when you look at the most teams the most teams that have played or the team that has played the most Sweet 16 teams, it's Auburn. I mean, Auburn's played Florida. They played Duke. They played Arkansas, Alabama. Keep going on down the list. They played Purdue and Houston and Kentucky and Tennessee and Ole Miss. I mean, it's not close. I mean, there's not another team up here in the Sweet 16 that can say they've played that many other Sweet 16 teams. And so when you talk about these stats, it does mean more, not to kind of play off the SEC tagline, but it does mean more. Auburn's 83.8 over the course of this season means a lot more to me than maybe Michigan 78.3. But again, you can't get too caught up in these numbers because it's about how teams are playing right now. And Michigan is playing outstanding basketball. They're playing maybe their best basketball, and that's what you want to be doing. Here's the defensive numbers. Auburn only giving up 69.4 points per contest, and Michigan 71.3. So that's a lot closer. Michigan really good on the defensive side of the basketball as well, and it's because of those 2 guys inside, Golden and Wolf, Randy, 2 rim protectors, 2 big, tall, 7-foot-plus guys that make it difficult for teams to get downhill, get to the rim, force a lot of kind of, altered shots. So when you got 2 guys in there like that, your numbers are going to be good defensively.
Well, here's a takeaway that, I'm kind of retracting back to one of our conversations at the end of the tournament last year. You may think the game's getting away from the bigs, but then it kind of revolves, and the next thing you know, the bigs are as important as they ever were. And here's the reason the bigs are so important in today's games, Brett, is you look at the algorithm, you look at all of the statistical stuff that we even talk about on the high school side, and it's either shoot a 3-point shot or you must take a layup or a nice shot around the bucket. No mid-range game. It's just not worth, the opportunity of taking a 12 to 15-foot shot for the most part. May as well step back and take that. Well, the point being is that if what you're trying to do is get downhill, get to the bucket, score the basketball around the rim, if you've got those defensive guys like UConn had last year,
Right.
like Purdue has had for what seems to be forever, what Auburn's had as of recent with Walker Kessler and Janai Broome and Dylan Cardwell. I mean, Auburn's been really, really good at protecting the rim and making it difficult to get there. And Michigan's got that. So, I thought we had gotten away from maybe a 4-guard offense and just one big that can be a presence inside. And we're moving back towards where Auburn the other night, I thought our best runs were when we had 2 bigs in the game. And a lot of this year has been when Auburn's had 2 that you can consider centers for other teams in the basketball game at the same time. It makes it difficult.
Extremely difficult. No doubt about it. Look, I don't care how the game changes and morphs. I'll take big guys, tall guys. That's the name of the game, right? To try to make it tough to get, downhill and try to get to the rim. And you got guys that can protect the rim and they're good athletes. That's the name of the game. You'll figure out a way to make them fit. All right, turnovers, protecting the basketball. Auburn averaging only 9 turnovers a game, 13.9 for Michigan. So that's a significant difference. So you just talked about, who's going to have the better point guard tomorrow night. And we take care of the basketball. That's one thing that Bruce Pearl hangs his hat on, is us being, really, really careful and doing the right things and not being lazy with our passes. And it shows in the turnover category. Auburn hasn't had very many games where he goes, man, we just, it's one turnover after another. We protect the basketball.
Well, I thought it was a separator the other night. You got deep into that basketball game, and I had a lot of confidence. I'm one of those, I don't know about all of you, but when it gets tight, sometimes I got to move around. I can't sit still and watch the game. But I tell you what, I sat there and watched the other night a lot more than I normally can, Brett, and the reason was Tahad Pettifor. I mean, Tahad gives you a confidence level that if the basketball gets to his hands,
right,
he's going to do something solid with it. And if he goes to the free throw line, if he misses, he's shot. He just got that confidence level that I think you need at the point guard position and the athleticism to get away from really anybody that's in front of him. I don't see him get trapped a lot, Brett.
Right.
So backcourt traps that we really see trying to ramp up pressure when you're down 8 or 10 points with 3 or 4 more minutes left to go in the game. He was able to get out of that. And I'm going somewhere with it that Trey is a big physical point guard, but I've never thought of Trey as one of our best defenders. Not a bad defender. I don't mean that in a negative sense, but I've never looked at him like I've looked at Denver Jones this year.
Right.
And with that being said, I don't have the worry that the on-ball defense coming from Trey is going to be at the level of the on-ball defense that Denver is going to put on Trey. And they know each other really well, but I think that is a positive in our favor, that he knows exactly what he's wanting to do with the basketball, where he's wanting to go with the basketball, which a lot of times is downhill for Trey.
Right.
And I'm hopeful that helps us.
Well, I retweeted something the other night. I don't know if you saw it, but it was Denver Jones against notable guards in the country and who he's guarded and what their performance was. The performance at Alabama, or the game where Mark Sears played at Alabama, hit the game winner, he only had 9 points. He was 3 for 9 shooting. He was 1 of 4 from outside. Just really couldn't get shots off against Denver Jones. So there's one. Now, a little bit different performance by Mark Sears in Alabama. Alabama lost the game. But think about this. To get to 18 points for Mark Sears, he was 4 of 17 shooting,
yes,
2 of 11 from outside. So, again, that was a hard-earned 18 points.
Well, let me jump in.
Yep.
Those 2 he hit outside.
Way outside.
5 feet behind the arc. I mean, nobody's defending that any better than Denver did there. So keep going. Yes, I mean that even the 18-point game was one of the best defensive performances. That's how good Mark Sears is, Brett.
Absolutely.
I mean, he
All
is
right.
just
All
a
right,
magician with that ball.
here's one of the first team All-Americans with Janai Broome and Walter Clayton Jr. and Mark Sears. Mark Sears is one. Here's another one, Braden Smith for Purdue. And you know how much I like Braden Smith and how good he plays. Against Denver Jones, he had 8 points. He was 3 of 12 shooting, 2 of 5 from outside, and Auburn just obliterated Purdue in that game, if you'll remember. You and I like Josh Hubbard at Mississippi State. I love that guy, dude. He can play. Josh Hubbard had 17 points against Denver Jones, but he was 2 of 12 shooting.
Wow.
2 of 10 from outside. And you know how good he is from outside and how good he can get his shot. He couldn't get any separation, and everything was contested. Most of his points came from the free throw line. He was 11 of 12 from the free throw line that day. So getting downhill and getting fouled was the name of the game for him. And you know, you go back and look at Mark Sears on the 18 points that he had. You said 2 of them were deep threes, so that's 6.
Yes.
8 of the other ones came from the free throw line. He was 8 of 11. So again, Denver can't defend the free throw line. He can't stand in front of them and wave his arms. All right, Sean Padula, on one of the performances against Auburn, I believe this was the one at Auburn. He was 6 of 13, had 12 points. Now, I know he did have the 29-point game against us in Oxford, and Auburn still won that game convincingly, which was a big game on the road. But, I mean, Sean Padula's been shooting everybody else's eyeballs out. He only had 12 points. As I scroll on down, Stephen Ashworth, for Creighton, had 13 points, was 5 of 11, a little bit better shooting, 3 of 7 from outside. Curtis Jones there for Iowa State. We know how good Iowa State is. Had 14 points in that matchup. Maui, 4 of 11 shooting, 2 of 6 from outside. All right, so combined, I keep going down. The total of all these guards against Denver Jones, 32 of 98 shooting, 12 of 58 from outside. That's 33% from the field and 20% from 3. I don't know that anybody's got better numbers in the country.
Well, here's another thing, though. If you're going to match up with Trey, you've got to be physical. You've got to be big.
Right.
Zep Jasper was an amazing on-ball defender. He's outstanding. I mean, it's what got him to Auburn. It's why he got as many minutes as he did at Auburn but he was small.
Right.
You know, the beauty of Denver is he's matching up. So Trey's what, 6'5"?
Yeah.
And Trey's every ounce of 210.
He's a football player, man.
Yeah, Trey is not a small guy by no stretch, but Denver's 6'4",
Yeah.
200 pounds, physical. You can't bull him. You can't get, these point guards aren't going to post him up and take advantage of a size discrepancy right there. He can match up with any of them. So that's probably on the defense on our side.
Trey's actually 6'3".
Kai looks bigger than that.
Because it's like Jason said, because he's a football player. Yeah. He's so built and physical. Like, he will be one of the most physical guys Denver's had to go get. So Denver's actually taller than Trey Donaldson.
Yeah, and the hair probably gives him.
The hair definitely makes him look taller too.
But still, the point is the same. If you're not physical, if you don't have the size and you're going to match up with him, he's going to expose you. And I didn't think that, at times we took advantage of that the last few years but we had so many substitutions and so much in and out with Trey at Auburn that he never really could get his sea legs going. I mean, I'm happy for him. And you can say all you want about the transfer portal and spin it in a negative direction, but for players like Denver Jones and Trey Donaldson, the two that we've talked the most about here going into this ball game, transfer portal has been a savior for both of them, Brett.
It has. I mean, it's been great. Not to get off topic, but you heard Latrell Wrightsell talk about, he's still weighing what he's going to do next year. And, a lot of fans are like, well, I can't believe he won't come back to – and it's not that easy anymore for players, and he brought up the reasons. It's not because he doesn't like Alabama. He said, one of the biggest reasons he came back this year was because who he was coming back with. And they had all sat down and talked about it and making this run. And He goes, a lot of those guys aren't going to be back next year. And, at the end of the day, it's a business decision. So, he's still weighing his odds, even though Alabama's got a great program and, they're in the Sweet 16 again. It's not just, I'm 110% coming back here next year for some of these guys. That's just the way it is. Trey Donaldson had just won an SEC championship at Auburn. And you would have thought, man, he's a no-brainer to come back. And he gets in the portal. And it's because of the other circumstances that were brought about by bringing other guys in and things like that. Wasn't ill will, from him or Bruce Pearl. It was
Doesn't
just
feel like it.
It wasn't. Everybody speaks highly of one another. I know Charles had an interview. Barkley had an interview with him not too long ago. And, I told you, you can't fake a reaction like CBM's the other night in the locker room when they found out they were playing Michigan. They were genuinely like, hey, man, we playing Tracy, and everybody was, cutting up and stuff. And so they're looking forward to that matchup. Obviously, it'll be intense on the floor, but, they are looking forward to getting out against one of their former guys. One more category, Randy, before you get off here. The only category that Michigan wins against Auburn is the rebounding, and it's very close. Michigan is 38.6 rebounds per game, and Auburn's 37.3. So it's right at one difference. And, both have great inside games. And Michael said, how often do those two big guys play at the same time for Michigan? Well, they do. They play a good bit of the same time. Michael, if I look back and look at these two guys, they're the two leading scorers for Michigan from a stat standpoint. And from a minute standpoint, I'll let you know how many minutes they get. Both of them averaging 36 minutes a game. So they're in there at the same time almost the whole time. Golden averages 16.8 points a game. Wolf averages 13, and then Trey averages 11.5, Randy. They only have three guys in double digits. Auburn has six that average double-digit points. So, that's another difference. But we just went through it. Auburn on average scores more points than Michigan per game. So, numbers don't lie a lot of times.
Well, no, they don't. And, depth, we hope, works out for Auburn, especially down in the post. If we can throw men and weigh on them a little bit, because, I don't watch Auburn play and worry about our matchups in the post. I'm watching Michigan, but the one thing about a Michigan matchup is we don't have just a clear-cut advantage when it comes to that inside game, and that's what having two bigs like Michigan has. So it's going to be a great matchup. I really expect that. I think Michigan, like you said, to start the podcast this morning, is playing their best basketball, and I just got a feel about this Auburn team that whatever little slump we were in, I don't sense it right now. I think that the emotions are in the right direction. Janai seems to be getting a little bit more healthy, which is going to help us overall. And when Tahad's playing the way that he is in this tournament, and you can ride someone that I think's a soon-to-be pro, I hope it's not this year, but a soon-to-be pro, when you've got a point guard out there that's playing that way, it's going to help everybody out there. Now, those two, I know Dylan wasn't hurt. CBM was a little gimpy there at the end of the ball game, which kept them out. So
right,
getting them back full speed is going to be real key. And Faith, glad to have you on here. Y'all had a big-time day yesterday. I keep saying this, but I'm going to lead into it here. We got a lot of new content and programming coming out with our R&B Sports Media. Auburn Blitz is one of them. The HSA Radio Network, which the two of you worked on a whole bunch yesterday. We've got some new things coming out with Faith in the lead on a lot of that. So reach out to the two of them that I have on both sides of me. Let them know that you're interested in finding ways that we can partner with you to get your message out there and brand your business. I'm going to throw Brett Pritchard's number out there. He doesn't mind me doing that. 256-794.
Everybody else has got it. Why not?
That's right. Faith, I'll let you throw yours out there if you want, maybe not. But I don't have a problem telling Brett. So 256-794-8223. Get in touch. The both of them can come out and talk to you and find ways that we can partner. I'm outside because our power's popped down here in Dable for whatever reason, Faith, if you're just tuning in. So I'm going to step aside. But call on Lee Apparel and Sign Source, screen printing, custom apparel, athletic uniforms, promotional products with Lee Apparel, 256-825-0197, and then Sign Source from start to finish. We can design your next sign. send it over to you. We can produce, assemble it, and then install it. You've seen our trucks running behind me all morning, leaving out here. So we're all over the place with 3 lift trucks in and around the state of Alabama and the state of Georgia today. So 256-825-0197.
All right, buddy. Good to see you, bud.
Hi, Randy.
Welcome in, Faith. Good to see you, Faith. Feels like just 3 hours ago we were.
I just saw you.
I know it. I know it. We said it wouldn't be long, and we would be right back here on the podcast. We did have a good day yesterday. I don't want to blow by that. Saw a lot of people. Had some really good meetings with some great people yesterday, and you had a great interview with Cedarian Morgan, 5-star recruit, number 1 player in the state of Alabama. That we'll be pushing out. Interview
get that up today.
Yeah, going to be getting that content out, so that's going to be exciting, and that's just the first of many of things that are coming down the pipe. We kind of got a little bit of delay. We were hoping to get our interview with Cooper McMurray today, but I'm going to have to move that to next week, which that's the way things go in this world. Things are fluid, schedules change. There's a lot going on right now, so it's no big deal. We'll get that done next week. And you actually got 2 interviews scheduled next week that we'll be talking about a little bit later on. So, no rest for the weary. You kind of got a birth by fire yesterday of what a typical day in the life of working in the media world is. And tomorrow we've got some exciting news surrounding you. What is this, all this? It's all about you here. It's just you. I mean, what's going on?
I was thinking, I don't know what news you're talking about tomorrow, but
it's to make something official.
Oh,
okay.
Okay. I know
all the other stuff that's going on. I don't know what we're talking about. So you really do know what I'm talking about. You just couldn't remember. So because we've got so many good things going on. While we're here, though, let's talk about some of our great partners. Sensagreen, for air that's cool and clean, call on Sensagreen. They are the carrier experts here in the state of Alabama. They are proud supporters of the Auburn Blitz podcast and Auburn Athletics. Scout Program Management, full-service construction management firm in Birmingham, Alabama, specializing in educational projects, new school builds, renovations, all those good things. They'll take you from the pre-planning stage all the way to the finished product. They'll take every step with you. They're not going to leave you. They're going to make sure the developer and the contractor is going to do everything to spec. That's what they're hired to do, and it takes all that worry off of you trying to manage that. So call on Scout Program Management. Great people all the way around. Bunkers in downtown Auburn. I love Bunkers. Faith loves Bunkers. We all do. Great food, great atmosphere. All the TVs, official home for March Madness in Auburn, located on West Glen. Make sure you go out and check them out if you have not done that. Sweet 16 starts tonight. I can't think of a better place to go and take in all the games and have great service and food right there other than Bunkers. So check them out. We'll hit a few more of our partners up here a little bit later before we get off. But Faith, a lot going on. Obviously tonight, the Sweet 16 gets started. Let's look at those matchups real quick. Again, Auburn gets started tomorrow night against Michigan, and we hope it goes well. It'll be a late tip, somewhere around 8:40 to 9:10, somewhere in that range. But things get started tonight with BYU and Alabama. That game will tip at 6:09. Your Mormons will be taking on the team from across the state. We all know where our hopes are on that. No offense maybe to any of you Bammers out there watching, but BYU has played pretty good this year. If you look at kind of going back and seeing how they got to this point, they just knocked off Wisconsin 91-89. That was a great basketball game. They knocked off VCU in the first round 80-71. Houston kind of took it to them there in the Big 12 championship game by 20, 74-54. But the game before that, they knocked off Iowa State 96-92. So really the only game that they've lost here in the last 7 or 8 has been that Houston game, Faith. So they've been riding a pretty good streak, knocked off West Virginia, have beaten Iowa State twice in that span, knocked off Utah. So, yeah, some pretty good wins for them, playing really solid basketball moving into the Sweet 16 game against Alabama.
Yeah, they're good at beyond the three. So, I mean, Alabama is too, but I think it's going to for sure be a high scoring game with both of these teams.
Yeah, they both can put the points up.
Yep.
I think whoever takes care of the basketball the most, and then if BYU can somehow help inside and defend, Amori's just he's a load and he's very athletic. So I know from an athletic standpoint, BYU is going to have their hands full tonight. They're going to have to be really good in all phases of the game. Up next tonight at 6:39, those games will be going on basically at the same time. Maryland and Florida. Maryland with the lone, I guess, March Madness moment in this tournament, with the guy traveled and made the shot. I mean, that's been the topic of everything. Every tweet and every post I've seen is like, how many steps did the guy really take? I mean, I know he took 3. He may have taken 4. Did
you see his response back?
What did he say? I did not.
He said, they just don't know ball if they think I traveled.
Yeah, unfortunately, we do know ball, and we do know that is a travel. So maybe he needs to go back and read the rules, because he looked like
to middle school basketball.
Yeah, I mean, now I know referees don't call traveling a lot, but last time I checked, it's still a rule. Now, again, we forgot about the carry rule years ago. I mean, everybody carries the basketball. It's like the natural way you dribble now. And it's
right.
Because of the way guys move and all that. Look, I don't really have a problem with that. I thought that was kind of a stupid rule anyway. I think it kind of was put in place so you couldn't be deceptive with the ball, putting your hand under the ball and then maybe. But anyway, bottom line is the game's a lot faster. It's morphed into what it is now. So I don't have a problem with that. But Maryland, they will have their hands full tonight, Faith. You and I talked about this after the Florida game against UConn. I think that was the one shot somebody had to catch Florida on an off night. And UConn, they needed about 3 or 4 minutes more of intense play to pull that one off. They weren't able to do it. They kind of fell apart in that last 4 or 5 minutes of the game, and Florida was able to come back. Walter Clayton was able to make them pay. And I don't see Florida playing like that. Florida's not going to be that bad from outside. They're not going to miss that many point-blank shots, and they're dang sure not going to miss that many free throws again. So that was the shot. I thought that, UConn had the chance to knock them out, and they couldn't do it. So I feel for Maryland. I may be wrong. I may get on here tomorrow with you and go, I eat my words. But I just think Florida.
I'd hate to be Maryland tonight.
I would too.
I'm just going to be honest. I think they are about to have it handed to them.
Obliterated.
And I hope I'm eating my words tomorrow. I hope I did not know what I was talking about.
So do I.
I do.
I
think I do.
I want them out. I want them out. Period.
I do too.
So
I don't want them.
No. And in 2 games, I know we got to take it one at a time, but that's possible Final Four matchup if both teams stay on course. Arizona Duke starts the nightcap for everybody at 8:39. Again, I think Duke's playing maybe the best basketball in this tournament right now. Arizona had a dogfight against Oregon. Arizona's a good basketball team, but they're not Duke. And of all the games tonight's the biggest point spread. Duke's favored by 9.5. And unless somebody if Cooper Flagg just forgets how to shoot, I think Duke is going to win the game, and I think they'll win it probably around that mark. I think they'll win it somewhere between 10 to 12 points. Duke's playing great basketball.
Yeah, we keep talking about how they haven't played very many good teams, and
only 4 ranked teams going into the tournament.
Yeah, I still think they're about to whoop up on them, to be honest with you. I really that's how this game's going to play. They're a good team regardless. But yeah, I'm hoping that, we'll be able to really get a feel for what they look like since last weekend, because I feel like last weekend, I don't know, I didn't watch too much of their game last week, but I hope that they
I hope they have look, they're in the Alabama bracket. So, here's the kind of thought process. Do you want, for all you, Auburn fans out there pulling against Alabama, do you want Duke to stay in this thing? Or would you like the possibility of Alabama making the Final Four? We don't really talk about this a lot right now because there's still a lot of basketball to play.
Yeah.
But there is a chance that Auburn and Alabama play for a national championship. I want you to kind of start to process that for a second.
So do you think that Alabama is going to beat Duke?
I think it'll be a tough game. I really do, just to be honest about
Would
it.
you rather play Alabama or would you rather play Duke?
That's a good question. Look, that's why I'm trying to pose this to you right now and for us to start. Now, again, Alabama may lose tonight and Auburn may lose tomorrow, and all this would be like for nothing. But let's play hypothetical right now because it's still in play. What in the world would this state do if it got down to the Final Four? First of all, both Auburn and Alabama making a Final Four together would be monumental. But then let's take it one step further and say that Auburn wins their semifinal game and Alabama wins theirs, and the hype from a Saturday to a Monday leading up to an Auburn-Alabama national championship game. You talk about shutting down a state. And I've got to ask you this question, and you and I have not talked about this at all. I have literally just brought this up to you first time. So this is natural reaction. Would that be bigger than any Iron Bowl ever?
Probably, yeah.
And that's crazy to say,
Yeah.
knowing how rabid this state is about football. But just look, I think
this state would explode.
And it's a true rubber match because Alabama's won one and Auburn's won one, and we won at each other's place. And so, like, the storyline of that would be, it would be mind blowing.
This state would explode.
I don't think. Can you imagine everything just shutting down on that Monday? People are like, crap. I'm starting to drink at 8 o'clock in the morning. We ain't going to work. Nobody's going anywhere. We're all partying. Everybody's just shutting it down till the game starts. And then all the people trying to get to San Antonio that had no plans of going that would try to get in that game would be crazy. Look, again, I don't think either fan base has taken themselves to that point yet, but that is out there. And the only way these two teams meet one more time this year is in the national title game. And I'm telling you, man, if it gets to that, what are we talking about on this show? It is going to be wild. But anyway, a lot of basketball to play. I just had to go down that path with you just to kind of get your reaction on that. We'll see how it all plays out. Alabama has a game tonight against BYU, so first things first. Arkansas, Texas Tech, the final matchup. That game will tip somewhere around 9:09, probably going to be starting later than that. So, man, it's going to be a late night for Arkansas and Texas Tech.
Forget about me being in bed by 9:30.
That ain't going to happen.
No.
Not going to happen.
I'm going to be like halfway asleep tomorrow morning.
Like one eye like this.
I'm going to be like, hey.
Can I just do the show with one eye? Arkansas, man, they're playing good. The story to me, John Calipari in Arkansas, an 0-5 start in SEC play, and then to see themselves in a Sweet 16, I didn't have that on my bingo card. I don't think a lot of people did. Texas Tech, very good basketball team, 27-8. But, you look at Arkansas at 22-13, you think about how many close games, one being Auburn, that they lost. That game that Big Z didn't score a single point for them. And we did play terrible.
We had blindfolds on the entire time.
that was part of that little run. That's really where we started to kind of trend down a little bit, and we were concerned. We were winning games, but it wasn't pretty. And
because we played Georgia right after that.
Oh yeah, we were at the game.
Yeah, we were at that game. Yeah, that was
terrible. Terrible. It was just the energy level was bad. Neither team, I mean, Georgia didn't play well either. So it was just not a very good game, but hopefully we've moved on from that. So those are the 4 games tonight. It's going to be obviously Sweet 16 basketball is going to be fun to watch, and we'll be tuned into that, and we'll be chatting back and forth during those games and kind of getting our thoughts ready for tomorrow morning on what we want to talk about. And then, of course, tomorrow we'll break down the rest of the games on slate, and we'll give a little bit more take on Michigan and Auburn. Excited about that talk tomorrow. Of course, we'll recap tonight's matchups. Some football news. Obviously, everything really kind of getting started. War Eagle to you, Jonathan, out there. Good to hear from all of you. Continue to spread the word here on the Auburn Blitz podcast for us. And as we eclipsed 2,500 subscribers yesterday on YouTube, really, really appreciate everybody out there that tunes us in. But spring football, Faith, not a ton to report. Just did get a chance to see Jackson Arnold and Deuce Knight throw the football a little bit in a small window. But we'll see how this spring goes, and a lot of new faces out there, a lot of new numbers from some veteran guys. Also learning who you're not going to have out here, not going to see. Coach Freeze talked about this the other day, the injury report, Connor Lew, Xavier Chaplin, DeMarcus Riddick, Hildreth Falk, Darrell Robinson, Champ Anthony, and freshman tight end Hollis Davidson not participating in spring right now. So, that's some pretty key guys. I would say Hildreth Falk, Connor Lew at the top of the list, and transfer offensive lineman Xavier Chaplin. You would think that would be key to get him out there and get some reps in, but right now listed on the injury report. Some other notes that he talked about that you and I didn't get a chance to say anything about yesterday. The depth chart has really changed over the 2 recruiting cycles. That's pretty obvious. You and I have talked about our roster, and you and I both feel that, we finally have a roster that will give Auburn a legit chance to compete with the top guys in this league again and get Auburn back up there in the talk. I mean, for all the things that we've talked about negative with Auburn football the last several years, Hugh Freeze did inherit a pretty bare cupboard. He had some good players in spots, but the depth was lacking, which is massive in this league, especially along the front lines, the offensive line particularly, having to move guys around. If we had a starting 5 guy go down, you just moved a guy from the starting 5 over to another position because you felt like the backup in that position probably wasn't good enough to come in and get minutes. That's a bad thing. When you're having to say, I don't have anybody beyond 5 to 6 guys that I can trust, and you having to platoon offensive linemen. So I'm excited. I know last year that we can go back through all that crap and why we lost those games, but really all of the things that we've used maybe as an excuse have gone away. I mean, through a couple of recruiting cycles, and you're still going to be young in some spots, but the depth is back to kind of like Jason Caldwell said, to a point where we can compete with the top teams in this league.
Yeah, when I was on – I don't know, I think it was Instagram the other day, and it was talking about which coaches were in the hot seat the most, and obviously Hugh Freeze is on there, and we've talked about how he was handed kind of a deck of cards that was just not.
No, it was terrible
in his favor.
I don't know that Brian Harsin even knew what recruiting was. I mean, seriously, it was horrific. So yeah,
that's in the past.
Yep. But
Yeah,
we got to tell everybody why we're talking about it, because he was so bad and Hugh Freeze was left with this problem. And we want to be hard at times on Hugh Freeze, but we do forget how bad of a situation he inherited. So,
right.
now some of the things that we're seeing last year maybe wasn't so much players.
What he did, it was what he was working with with what he was given.
Correct.
Yes, and I agree. And that's what I'm saying, though, is yes, he was handed a bad deck of cards, but he also he does have a lot to prove and live up to this year.
Well, it's year 3 now. It's time to start winning football games.
And we've seen from the freshmen and from the young guys last year what they're capable of, but also now we got some guys out of the transfer portal, and he's been able to actually develop these guys himself with his staff. So I do think he's in the hot seat, and if he does go 3-3 at the beginning of the season with the first 6 games, that'll be
not good.
Yeah.
No other way to spin it. I mean, just not good.
But yeah, we need everybody healthy. We need that mindset. Last year, each week when I went in there, they all had a positive mindset and they all had a winning mindset. It just was not performed out on the field.
And the simple quote that he had in the press conference the other day when he was asked, what about going into year 3? And he said, we need to play better. We need to win some football games. And that's really the simplicity of all this, with the fans, with the coaches, with the players, all of it. I said it yesterday, there's a video out there where, they do a little hype video. I think the Auburn football Instagram page did a little hype video, and guys walking around. He's like, we're ready to go. We got stuff to prove. And, and that, again, at some point in time, those guys have got to be the ones that are tired of losing. They've got to be the ones that are tired of the negative talk, and they want to turn this thing around. That's why we need to be
worried that if we lose, we're going to lose all these guys that we've got that are star athletes. Like, that's another thing that we need to be worried about if we start playing like crap.
Well, and again, I think that point that you bring up is that we've been able to still recruit at a high level, even though we haven't been able to produce the results. At some point in time, if the results don't come, guys are going to go, well, I ain't going to try that, because they've had all these other guys. So really the urgency is right now. The urgency is in the simplicity of what Hugh Freeze said is that, look, time to win games, time to play better, period. There's no excuse from a coach, no excuse from a player. You just got to go out and make the plays. And we talked about it in baseball. Last year, Faith, it was one error in the field, or it was one extra base on balls, or it was a hit batter at the wrong time, or it was a bad pitch that gave up a 3-run homer that caused you to lose the series. You say baseball's changed that narrative this year. They're making those plays this year. They're winning those games. They've won 2 series in a row. That's what you got to do. Football's got to do that. Instead of turning the ball over 3 times, they create 3 turnovers. Instead of missing a field goal in the fourth quarter, figuring out a way to make 1 or 2 more plays and score a touchdown and not have to worry about attempting a field goal. It's making those 1 or 2 extra plays in the game that can seal the deal, and learning how to do that.
We're able to see in baseball the growth and the development, and even in softball too, we're able to see where these coaches have been able to really get through to the athletes. And that's what we need to see in football. In football, or in all sports, you can't coach a player to be coachable, and you can't coach them to have a good attitude. We've seen that everywhere. But the attitude that I've seen in that football locker room and during my interviews with them last year, they all have that winning attitude and they all have that winning mentality. You think Eugene Asante was in there being like, man, we're about to go in there and lose. We suck. Like, we keep losing all year. No, they're going in there saying we're going in there to win. It just hasn't gone our way each time. And I mean, that's nobody to blame except the team. And
it's a mentality sometimes, Faith, that even in the game, though, and I'll go back to the Oklahoma game, Auburn clearly was in control of that game. And it was like, there's really no way going into the fourth quarter that we can lose this game. And it's almost like when you've had such a run of bad luck and you're almost sitting around waiting for something bad to happen instead of, seizing the moment and taking control, you're like, well, I know it's coming. It ain't happened yet.
Drop. What do you think happened during Texas A&M?
Right.
I was sitting there waiting for them
We all were.
to score.
Especially after they came back, after we got out to such a dominant lead and then we gave up the lead. I'm like, well, this team just doesn't know how to win. And they figured it out.
You texted me that during that game.
Oh, I
didn't even know you as well as I do now, and I think you might have texted me that. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's true though. But the mentality going into this year, I'm expecting is to be the same, if not better, because they had a great mentality last year, and I think that this year is going to really change the trajectory of Auburn football that we've had in the past. I think we are going to succeed. We're going to win, and Hugh Freeze should feel like he's in the hot seat. He should feel a little nervous, but I think all of Auburn is behind him now.
It is. I mean, and everybody's pulling. I mean, everybody wants
to see him succeed.
Absolutely. And
he's done a lot for the Auburn community. He's done a lot for the Auburn family. And I think
there's maybe some things that he looks back on that he wishes maybe I should have done a little bit more in the last 2 years. I won't get into all that. You and I've had that discussion already, but that, like you say all the time, that's old stuff. Let's move on. And let's look at Baylor and how important it is for Auburn to get out there on a Friday night and win that football game. And maybe not just win it, but go out and say, how good would it be for this team to go out there and win by a couple touchdowns and you bring that back and you get all the talk going in the right direction. Now, all of a sudden, you don't have to worry about, because that's one of the games when you and I were breaking down the schedule that is a 50-50 game right now in all of our minds. There's nobody – I don't see anybody going, Auburn's a sure win out there. And I don't think it's the other way for Baylor either. I just think a lot of people feel like it's a 50-50 ball game for either team. And we finally need to make some plays to get it to go in our direction. We need to start off on the right foot. So you and I'll be talking more about that. You and I'll be at practice next week, football practice. So we're excited to finally get that clearance and be there. So we're going to be, and like Justin just said, that's a fright the whole country will be watching. Even me in the booth calling a high school football game, don't think, my mind's going to be just that day because we have a massive high school game that we're going to be calling. Auburn will be playing against Baylor. So I'm going to try not to, while I'm calling a high school game, be calling the game on the screen that I'm watching. Hopefully I don't mix that up. But yeah, it's going to be a crazy night. But Justin's right. Most everybody, they'll have the center stage. There won't be anything else to watch college-wise that night. So Baylor and Auburn will draw a ton of eyes.
Yeah, I'm excited. I think I'm probably going to be going. So
yeah, you will be.
Yeah, so I'm excited to go and hopefully it's going to be a positive way to
I'm excited for you to go. You'll be covering the game for us, and I'm pulling for you. I was hoping I was going to get to go, but other look, we can't all be in the same place at one time. Got a lot of stuff going on.
He said, when it was going to be Thursday night, he said, well, if it's Friday night, we're not going to be able to go. I got to coach again, or I got to call a game on Friday. I said, I don't have to call a game on Friday. I said, what are you?
You are part of the crew now, by the way. But
I'm also part of this.
You got, like I said, we got, we're just going to be spread thin. What can we say?
I got places
we're
to be.
gonna make it work. Jerron said this year will be the start of a great 10-year run. I hope so, Jerron. I love your attitude, dude. I think it's going to be great. Justin said,
he just needs to get under my skin. I already saw it, but I'm not responding.
What's that? BYU, the worst team?
Yeah. He just wants to
I really actually don't think he's aiming that at you, Faith. I think he's literally saying that if you look at these teams in the Sweet 16, they're probably the worst one left.
I don't think so. Okay. I'm saying Arizona is. Okay.
Arizona, okay. If I ranked these teams, they would probably be last for me. I mean,
Okay.
I'll just have to say it.
Okay.
It is what it is. It's not a shot at
I'm
you.
excited to go to Baylor. Okay.
Just keep rubbing it in. We'll see how all that works out. So, all right. Okay, guys, been a lot of fun. A lot of stuff to talk about this morning. A lot more to do today. There is no rest for the weary, for sure. So we do have a good time. Excited about our partners here on the program. Again, can't thank them enough. Sure Shot in Alexander City, 256-329 0080. Man, turkey season is upon us. It is. We're ready to rock and roll. Going to be full-fledged this weekend for a lot of people. Go to Sure Shot, get your apparel. If you haven't got your new turkey hunting apparel camo, they've got it. They got a sale going on Browning Firearms, 10% off. You and I rode past Sure Shot yesterday. Didn't have time to stop. Wanted to. Didn't have time to stop. They had a parking lot full of people. So go check them out. Get your ammo for your shotgun and just go buy you a new shotgun, right? It's kind of like a holiday. I don't know. I'm giving you permission here. I don't care who you got to ask. I'm giving you permission to go get you a new shotgun at Sure Shot. Oliver Ross, saw Mark yesterday. Faith got to meet Mark. Love Mark. Love his business. Got a new flyer that we're going to put up starting tomorrow on the show here for Oliver Ross to kind of give you a little bit more detail about them. But a full service bartending service that will take care of your parties, in your gatherings, your get-togethers, whatever it is, whether you have 20 or 20,000, they'll take care of you. Licensed and insured, trained professional bar services for all your events. They serve your weddings, your private events, whatever it is, fraternity, sorority parties down in Auburn. Here's a number you can call, 256-496-2212. And look them up on Instagram and Facebook. Again, I'll give the tagline that I always say, don't spill it. Don't make a big mess. Don't look like an idiot. Call on Oliver Ross. They'll make sure you look like pros at your party, and you'll be the talk of the town. So thanks to all of our partners, Faith. Had a good day yesterday.
We did. We had a great day. A lot of fun. Very busy. But hopefully I'll be getting my interview with Sedarian Morgan out today. So everybody go watch that. We want him to come to Auburn, hopefully.
No doubt.
July 2nd.
No doubt. He was fun to be around yesterday.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He's always that way. I've known Sedarian for a long time, and you know, a little tease of your interview. You talked to him about basketball and his love for basketball, and he's as good a basketball player. A lot of people don't know that, so they'll just have to wait and watch your interview. That'll be out later today. So make sure you tune in right here on the Auburn Blitz podcast each and every morning. And then, of course, our YouTube channel, subscribe where all our content is, our Facebook page, our Twitter, all of that stuff. Go follow us and continue to pass the word along if you like our content. We have our Auburn Blitz show every day at noon as well. Real quick, while we're talking about programming and things, Faith and I, starting next month, which is next week, we're going to start our own locations. And man, we've got some exciting places that we're going to be going. We'll be unveiling those, but we're going to be on rotation all the way through football season. Faith, you and I will be out on Fridays at different locations, not just in Auburn, but in the Lake Martin area, the surrounding area. We want to bring a lot of attention to some of these businesses. And look, it's summertime, man. It's Lake Martin time. I love Auburn. I know you love Auburn, but the focus turns to Lake Martin when the temperatures start getting warm. So you and I have a couple of places that we're going to be at on Lake Martin on Fridays. So we're excited about that. So just a lot of opportunities out there. And like Randy said earlier, if you want to get in touch with either Faith or myself, please do look us up, send us a message on Facebook. Our numbers will be out there for you to get in touch with us. We'd love to hear from you, and we do have room for you in our programming, and we'd love to help you and love to partner with you. So, all right, Faith, a lot of stuff to do today. So let's go ahead and get this thing started as we roll in to the 9 o'clock hour. We hope everybody has a wonderful day-to-day. Enjoy some Sweet 16 basketball tonight, and we'll see you tomorrow. See you at noon for the Auburn Blitz show, and then Faith and I will be back here tomorrow to close out a Friday here on the Auburn Blitz podcast. Have a great day, everybody, and a big O.
War Eagle.